Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another talk here today. I am super excited to invite to the stage Charlie Lewis Jr. He is an award winning associate broker at Compass and a top tier New York City real estate agent, having closed over $600 million in residential sales and ranking in the top 4% of agents. I live in New York City and I know how impressive that is. He is also the author of No Apologies, Love the Way You Live at Any Age, and the founder of the Love the Way You Live brand. Charlie has been featured on HGTV, Netflix, and in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and Essence. And a proud Howard University alumnus and national alumni leader. He's known for blending lifestyles, community, and purpose and helping people not just find homes, but design lives they love, which we hope to do here today. So, Charlie, welcome to Power to Fly.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And I'd love to start, since this is happening during Black History Month as part of our Black Amplifying Black Excellence Summit, love to start with how has Black history and legacy shaped your own approach to living a no apologies life, either both professionally or personally?
Well, from a legacy standpoint, I am one of six kids from my mother and father who I was born in Statesboro, Georgia. And my father was an entrepreneur who had nine different businesses.
Wow.
He had a legacy that he wanted me to take over, but I chose myself. And so I wanted a different route because I could not envision myself going back to Statesboro, Georgia, after leaving Statesboro, going to Howard University. That was just not in the cards for me. And it was really interesting because my mom, not knowing, my father was, 40 years older than I. If he was living today, he would have been 99 years old. So he came from the silent generation, but not knowing how progressive they were, my mom told me, she said, son, this is your father's life. This isn't your life. Go out and make your own mark. So I would say with that is he stressed education, they stressed entrepreneurship, they stressed independence because they knew education would be a pathway for independence and freedom. And I think for African Americans today, what we have found is that we have so many entrepreneurs out there that are doing it their way because sometimes the barriers in corporate America are stacked against you. So we've been able to progress, mostly leading the charge by being, entrepreneurs. And so I was glad to have a father that left that legacy of being an entrepreneur. And so for me today, being that it's, February, Black History Month, I have been an entrepreneur going on 25 years. So I am happy that have that foundation, to have grown up in his businesses, to see how flexible and how nimble you have to be, and how also you have to be ready to pivot, because that really is important, no matter if you are in corporate or if you are an entrepreneur, because business changes over the years. Technology has grown. I mean, moves things light years ahead. So you always have to have your finger on the pulse of what's new. And so, excuse me, I started out in corporate America and I migrated, getting the foundation and allowing me to see exactly what I needed in order for me to pivot to become an entrepreneur. So I was blessed for that and blessed for the experiences that I had. And so today, I think the legacy that I um, or is leaving behind now is a legacy of freedom, a legacy of doing it your way, and a legacy that is giving people the right to find their purpose. So then, therefore, that's what the book is about. So then, therefore, they can do it in a short amount of time. And hopefully, I'm here as you will see in the book. Uncle Charlie giving you that advice so you won't have to go through some of the steps that I went through, that you can find the shortcut.
I love that. And what you said really resonated with me is that, of course, we're talking about Black excellence here at this summit, but so much of what you said could apply to so many other underrepresented talent. A woman might also feel underappreciated in corporate America and break out to do their own thing and become an entrepreneur as well. So I love that this isn't just about one identity group. This is so universal. And I'm wondering, Charlie, too, do you think having gone started in corporate America and become an entrepreneur, do you think
Mhm.
it's helpful to kind of start there to get the foundation? Like, or do you encourage people to jump into the deep end of the pool right away and become an entrepreneur without kind of going through the typical structure?
You know what? That's a good question, Rob. Really, because I think it really depends on the person. And if you started out with, some people just really have that innate ability to go out here and to just hit the ground running with an idea and for that idea to blow up. There's been several people that have done that, and we know a lot of guys in college, they quit college
Mm-hmm.
and they just, they have an idea, they created something, and then it just blew up. I think going into corporate, it's like going to college.
Mm-hmm.
Gives you that foundation. It gives you the discipline to be able to see that life happens with different verticals. Because when you get ready to become your own boss, you're your accountant, your attorney, your business development person, your marketing person, you're,
Mm-hmm.
you're all facets of that. And so if you've been in corporate America, you understand business and you understand that you can see the vast uh, uh, metrics or verticals of what is coming at you. Sometime when you're an entrepreneur, and like for instance, just let's say if you own a restaurant, they always say restaurant owners are the most failed business because some
Mm-hmm.
people they could cook, but they didn't understand inventory. They didn't understand how to hire and what was good talent. They didn't know how to do good bookkeeping. They didn't know good marketing, or they didn't know where to position their location. So I think going into corporate America is kind of like the foundation of college. It just gives you the discipline, and you get to see that things are bigger than just the thing at hand, the
Yeah.
matter at hand, that there are other entities that are involved in the process.
I like that a lot. I kind of equate it to remote work as well because I
Oh,
work remotely. I love working remotely. I never want to go back to an office, but I'm very glad that I worked in an office when I was in my 20s because it really taught me that discipline that you mentioned. It taught me how
mhm,
to speak with people. And I think
mhm.
sometimes that gets lost because people want to build something, which is great. But I do love that idea that it's a further continuing education to kind of start in a more traditional business.
Right. And then also too with remote work, kids want to do remote work today. I advise against that because of office politics. So you really got to know how to go in and navigate. If you never worked in an office environment, how do you know how to speak to your boss
Mm-hmm.
in order to get ahead? How do you know what everyone is doing and what projects people are working on in order for you to showcase your talents and your skills? So I would always advise against that, especially when you first start out. I think you need a good 5 to 10 years in the in corporate America in the work environment before you can actually peel back and say, "Oh, I know what I know."
Yeah.
Don't know what you know, don't know, because bottom line is we all said we wanted to be X when we graduated
Mm-hmm.
from college, or we would want it to work in that field. If it wasn't a finite job, i.e., a tax attorney or a dermatologist or a realtor, where it is that particular industry that How do you know what you're going to do when you go to Quaker Oats or when you go to Procter and Gamble and they put you in consumer products or they put you in brand management, or if you went to Goldman and Sachs and they started putting you into the investment department or the private equity department or venture capitalist department and you've never had that skill set? How do you know what to do and what's out there for you? So you really need to know what is, it really depends on your industry, number one, but it
Hmm.
also too depends on your ability to do uptake, I say. And that's the ability to learn and to be able to, see from a strategic level as well as an execution level how to get the jobs done.
Yeah, I love that. I think I definitely agree with you there. And I'd love to get back to your book, No Apologies. You
Mhm.
emphasize in that designing a life you love at any age, which I love. So,
Mhm.
what are the first steps someone should take when they feel ready for reinvention?
Well, one, a lot of people throw around the term reinvention, and a lot of people say finding your purpose. It really comes down to your passion and what
Hmm.
it is that you like and what it is that you know that you like. And no apologies for me. It's in my memoir wrapped into the 8 dimensions of wellness, and it's really over a 40-year span of my life. Because I always say from 0 to 18, you're in a controlled environment growing up with your parents, and you spend the rest of your life deprogramming yourself
Yes.
from that life. Okay. And so many things can happen to you that can derail you from finding your passion or finding your truth. If anyone has a balanced, emotional, stable life, that's great. And then you can start that helps you start out on easy street. But everybody's life is not like that. Some people come from foster homes, some people were adopted, so there's so many different issues. But when you're in the corporate world and you're looking to find your passion or realign yourself and say, hey, what is it that I want to do? First, find out what you like. You know, when you
Hmm.
know what you like, then you can make strides to go after it. You can then connect with a mentor, and that mentor can then help you see what the role would be like, whether that's inside an organization or with outside an organization. And when you are able to do that, you can start chipping away and knowing how to reinvent yourself along those lines. Because it's work, it takes a lot of work, it takes courageous conversations with yourself. It takes courageous conversations with others in order for you to really be able to go back and communicate what's bothering you. Communication is key to everything, not just in work, but in your relationships, with your mother and your father, just with yourself and your spirituality and all of those things. You really have to know what it is that you're trying to go after. And a lot of people will say, well, I really don't know. But that's why I say to people who start out, and I'm always advising people that I mentor, is try to get as much experience as you possibly can in the field that you think that you want to do.
Hmm.
When you graduate from college and when you go out into that field, you can then see if that's something you want to do. Once you get those 2 years experience, usually people start to pivot and then they start to figure out what it is that they want to do. So I say find your passion first. A lot of people say, well, I don't really know what I want to do. Well, then that's when you have to get yourself involved in different projects. And that is the best way I found myself of trying to stretch myself just in general of when I'm on boards and sitting on boards and different things like that. I have a curiosity for art and entertainment. I love going to museums. I love helping social programs. So I used to sit on the board of the Brooklyn Community Service, which is the largest or community service organization in Brooklyn. I'm very civic minded. I just joined the board of the New York Urban League. And then I have a as you can see, based off my background, affinity to Howard University and education. I love to see people work on the front end. A group came to me that wanted me to do some work with prisons, getting prison inmates back into society. But as I told them, that's not my ministry.
Hmm.
My ministry is I'd rather have you on the front end and get you into college and talk to you and nurture you that way. So then you will miss the prison pipeline. I
Yes.
know that,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's the best way. Volunteer and find your passion projects and find what speaks to you. I'm also an avid traveler. I've been to 72 countries and 6 continents. So I find wealth in knowledge,
Hmm.
and in cultures. And so I love to do that. And I love when I travel, I immediately go to a museum or to neighborhoods that look like me, feel like me, get the energy, see what's going on economically, socially, and civically, so I can have a real understanding. I don't like to read, you know, you know, different publications that say stay away. I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
know why to stay away, with caution, that is. But so that's me, I have that curiosity, as I call it in the book, intellectual wellness is something that I continue to do. So therefore, I never feel like I'm just existing,
Hmm.
drifting away. And if you keep that curiosity, I think you tend to find what it is that you want to do, and then from your passion projects, it can really create maybe a lifestyle that would be something that you would call work, uh,
Hmm.
and that it wouldn't be work because you would enjoy doing what you do.
Yeah, I love that. And I think now more than ever, I've seen here at Power to Fly, really, I think since COVID, especially, so many people wanting to pivot, wanting to find their passion, wanting to find what they truly love. The days of necessarily being in one job for 30 years and you might not love it. Those days are definitely going away or have gone away.
Yes.
And I'm seeing so much of what you're talking about. So I think this
Oh,
is really resonating with everyone. And
hmm.
I'd love, since you mentioned it and since it's literally behind you, I'd love to talk about Howard University a bit because
Yeah.
you have built community throughout your career from Howard University leadership to the clients that you're now serving as well. So, how can people strengthen those community connections as part of their growth journey? And maybe you can talk a bit about how you've strengthened those journeys from your collegiate days to your work now as well.
Well, one thing about going to the historically black college and university, which Howard is one of 100 it used to be 121, and now we're down to 103 or 104 HBCUs. The community is there. I wanted that when I graduated from Statesboro High, back in 1985. I was always in search of that. I always wanted to know, for me specifically, and since we're speaking about Black history, where were the other smart black
Mm-hmm.
kids? I had my friends I could count that were in my AP classes when I was in school. And when I got to DC, number one, DC is really a think tank in itself of Black culture. History, the diaspora is there, the culture is there. Howard itself is, you have everyone coming from 48 different states, and then all of the Caribbean diaspora, as well as Europe and Africa. And so I was able to dive in to that when I was at the institution. And I walked away with a community on so many different levels because I was that kid that wanted to see what were you doing this weekend. And if I didn't like what you were doing, I went over to the next group. What are y'all doing? And went to the next group. And you have that ability at a HBCU that you might not have at a PWI just because of the numbers. And everybody, this is when you realize that all Black people are not monolithic.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the Black people who are in the punk rock. You have the Gothic Black. You have the ones who are the New Age Bohemian, or you have just the classic preppy, Black kids back then when things were not so homogenous. So you could find your tribe and you could get in with your tribe. Because I knew I was going to grad school and I knew I was going to go to PWI. And that's what my sister told me anyway. She was like, go to Howard. Those 4 years are nurturing. You're going to have networks that you're not going to have once you leave. And she was right about that. Because when I then went to University of Texas, I was there for grad school for 2 years. I have a group of people, but it's not like my connection
Hmm.
at Howard. My connection at Howard, I have so many people, that I can't even count, which led me to sticking to the community. And then as, over the years since I graduated in 1989, you had the invention of social media. And then social media came up with Facebook, and all of those things. So you were able to easily keep connected to your friends. And so with me, as I stated earlier, I've had my passion projects. So my passion projects combined with the things that I love, and therefore I have built community. So with helping Howard, doing recruitment at Howard, raising funds for Howard, to traveling and travel groups with Howard, book clubs with Howard. It's just been endless opportunities. So, that's why I always say to people, just do one thing. You don't have to do much.
Hmm.
One, and that will build. Everybody is not an extrovert. I'm kind of extrovert, introvert, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But I know people all around the country, all around the world, and it's easy for me to just, I could fly from New York to Chicago, and there's a whole community sitting there waiting for me, which I love. But I was intentional about building and curating people in my life. And that's the big word, curating. Curating people who had the like mind, body, and soul and energy that I wanted. And if you did not have that, I, push you to the side. Everybody can't come up with you. Some people can to a certain point, and you have to put them on the shelf. And you go on out and you create yours and you grow and you meet people along the way that's doing the work and the things that you want to do. And so for me, creating community has to be intentional and you have to curate it based off of your likes and the ability of others around you that you see the better good.
I love that because I think what we often hear, especially from a business networking standpoint, is people cast like this wide net, but they don't really actually make the connections, a true
Right.
connection with
Mhm.
people. They're sending a LinkedIn connection, but that's it. And I
Right.
love what you're saying, which is going deeper into it. So maybe it's not as wide of a net, but it's going to be much deeper with those people. So once you do need to lean on someone to say, hey, introduce me to so and so because I really interested in that opportunity, you've got
Mhm.
the true connection there rather than just this surface level connection.
Exactly. And I know for me, over the years, I mean, everything comes together, and it's like my world has just collapsed with my older siblings. Now I'm hanging out with my siblings, friends, my older siblings. It's just so funny, and really when people see how you live your life, they trust you and they know you. And so therefore it's easy to connect people. Plus, I'm also a connector. So for me, I've always had the interest of if I see somebody that needs to be connected with someone, I'm going to do it innately. It doesn't come with condition. It comes out of genuinely, I know that is something you're interested in, and I know that person is the person that what you want to do, they're doing it, and I
Mm-hmm.
know that will be a great connection. And so I just do it. And yeah, some things work, some things don't work. But in I think sometimes in the Black community, we don't, excuse me, push certain people, one, because you don't have that true connection, so you don't really know everything about them and what they do. But two, you don't want that if that connection turn out for the better, you feel as though it's going to spoil your name. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because a lot of us have not had our the seat at a table, the seat at
Mm-hmm.
a table. And so I get the resistance sometimes. But also too, I just think, when a true connection is one where you know the people and that it is easy just to say, hey, you know what, call Rob. Rob is great at what he does. He'll be a great, advisor for you in this of what you're looking for, position that you're looking for. And I think he has everything because I've had a relationship with him. And so
Mhm.
too, usually that's how it usually works. If someone knows me and I trust you and everything that you know, because I've quote unquote vetted you.
Yeah.
You've been a part of the curation of my life. And so therefore I don't have any worries about it because I know this person and the work that they've done has been, something that would benefit everyone.
Hmm.
Um, and that's how I do with my connections. So in real estate, people know me. And, if I go to the vineyard or if I'm out in the Hamptons, Sag Harbor or whatever, people are like, you know what, y'all need to get with Charlie. Charlie's helped my kid. Charlie's helped my boss. Charlie's helped my friend, my sister, or whatever. And that's how the cycle of me being doing the real estate. I've been doing real estate for 20 years. My business is basically 95% referral. Um,
Hmm.
that's because of all the connections that I have.
Yeah, I love that, and believe it or not, we're almost out of time. But before we do leave you, I do want to ask this other question for you. So, what do you see as some of the most common ways that professionals are dimming their lights or maybe shrinking in the workplace? And if they could just do one thing to kind of step into their power with confidence, what should that one thing be?
Don't try to emulate someone else.
I love that.
You got to be true to yourself and what it is that you're going after. Um, and I think too many people, not to dim your light, um, if you've been passed over for a
Hmm.
position, then you have to know how to demand um, the respect for them not to overlook you again. You have to, one of the things I always did in corporate America, I learned from this at Howard, was you always have a 30-day review with your boss.
Hmm.
And you don't call it a review, you call it a meetup. Because then at the end of the year, you know where you sit, and your
Yeah.
boss knows where you sit because you've been talking to him or her over the course of the year. So it's easy for your boss to write you a recommendation or a promotion increase based off the fact that you've hit every mark because you've been having this monthly meetup. I did that when I was in corporate America. And after my first year, I stopped doing that. And if it was a grading scale, I went from an A to a D because the second year, you would have thought I was this terrible employee.
Hmm.
But I took my eyes off the ball and I didn't really see corporate America. I thought corporate America was going to be more friendly to me.
Hmm.
And that is what you find out that everybody has an agenda. So in order not to shrink yourself, you have to put on your armor, but you have to know how to navigate the wheels of corporate America because everything is different and every corporation is different. So find your mentor in the firm, find someone who believes in you. And two, make sure that you affect a budget because when you affect a budget,
Yes.
then therefore you have they can't get rid of you. You
Yes.
but if you're sitting over there as a project manager, they can always cut you. But make sure that you monitor and you are over something where they need you. And if that is not the place for you, and I talk about this in the book in environmental wellness, then that's when you need to begin your search to go
Hmm.
to a new environment to do that. And that might be within the same company, might just be in a different city or in a different department. However, if the department or the company is not working for you, then that's when you need to have an exit plan. And then sometime when you have enough of the skill set, you might need to pivot and think about how it is that you might be able to do this as a consultant or as a entrepreneur, and that you have reached that level of where you've uh, petered out, and you offer more now to people than what they see in you, and you can offer that to, instead of just one organization, to many organizations, and that is your light to then therefore move forward in your own spirit, with your own self, and move out, and make a bigger impact. And that way you don't shrink.
I love that. Thank you so much, Charlie. And before we let you go, where can people find No Apologies or follow you or learn more?
You can follow me in IG, Facebook, and TikTok at Charlie Lewis Jr. And that's Charlie with an I-E, Lewis with LEWISJR on Instagram. And you can order my book at charlielewisnyc.com. And also too at all that'll lead you to all the Amazons and the Barnes and Nobles and Books A Million that are out there. So
Wonderful.
coming to a city near you, so check
Yes.
the website for all the event tours and the book signings that I will have out there.
Wonderful. Well, I can't wait. Hopefully, everyone checks that out. Thank you so much, Charlie, for spending some time with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thanks everybody. Happy Black History Month.